In the dim glow of a sterile hospital room high above the glittering sprawl of Manhattan, Elena Vargas gripped the edge of the bed, her heart slamming against her ribs like a trapped bird. The billionaire's twin daughters lay before her, their porcelain faces pale under the fluorescent lights, eyes forever sealed in milky white voids that the world swore could never heal. But as Elena's fingers brushed the cool skin of the elder twin's cheek, a tremor ran through her, a whisper of warmth that no medical chart could explain, pulling her into a secret she wasn't meant to uncover. Elena had always known she saw things others missed. Growing up in the Bronx, daughter of immigrant parents who scrubbed floors until their hands bled, she'd learned to read the unspoken, the flicker of fear in a patient's averted gaze, the lie hidden in a doctor's clipped tone. At 28, with her nursing scrubs hugging her athletic frame and her dark curls tied back in a no-nonsense ponytail, she was the steady hand in chaos, the one who stayed when shifts ended. But nothing had prepared her for the Hawthorne estate call, a private jet whisking her from Bellevue to the family's secluded Adirondack compound, where the air smelled of pine and old money. The twins, Isabella and Sophia Hawthorne, were 25, heirs to a fortune built on tech empires that spanned Silicon Valley to Wall Street. Their father, Victor Hawthorne, was a titan whose face graced Forbes covers, his steel-gray eyes promising innovation and ruthlessness in equal measure. The accident had happened 3 years prior, a private plane crash in the Rockies, the kind of tragedy that tabloids devoured. Victor had walked away with a limp his wife hadn't. The girls? Blinded, the report said, by shattered glass and fire. Irreversible, the specialists declared, their voices echoing like verdicts in a courtroom. Victor had poured millions into experimental treatments, stem cells from Switzerland, neural implants from Japan. Nothing worked. Or, so the story went. Elena's first night there, as rain lashed the mansion's leaded windows, she sat between the sisters' beds in the East Wing's medical suite. Isabella, the bolder one with auburn waves that cascaded like autumn leaves, stirred first. "Who are you?" Her voice was silk over gravel, laced with the faint tremor of disuse. "Elena Vargas, your new nurse. Mr. Hawthorne flew me in from the city." Elena kept her tone even, professional, but her pulse quickened. Up close, Isabella's features were heartbreaking. High cheekbones, full lips curved in perpetual skepticism, a beauty untouched by the scars that faintly lined her temples. Sophia, the quieter twin with the same hair but eyes that seemed to search inward, murmured from her side, "Does it matter? We're just ghosts in this house now." Her hand reached out blindly, fingers splayed like fragile branches, and Elena caught it instinctively, the touch electric, a spark in the gloom. By dawn, Elena had charted their vitals, administered the nightly meds, sedatives Victor insisted on for their rest, and noted the oddities, elevated heart rates at odd hours, whispers between the sisters when they thought she was gone. But it was Isabella's laugh that hooked her deepest, a rare sound like shattering crystal, during a midnight feeding when Sophia teased her about dreaming of chocolate fountains. Elena found herself lingering, sharing stories of her abuela's empanadas back in the Bronx, the way laughter had been their armor against eviction notices. Days blurred into weeks. The compound was a fortress of stone and glass, ringed by evergreens that whispered secrets to the wind. Victor was a shadow, his visits brief and barked orders through intercoms. "Keep them comfortable. No dramatics." His limp echoed down marble halls, a reminder of the crash that had stolen more than sight. Elena's quarters were a converted guest room with a view of the lake, where loons called at dusk like lost souls. She ran each morning, her sneakers pounding dirt trails, trying to outpace the pull she felt toward Isabella. It started small. Isabella's hand brushing Elena's during a bandage change, lingering a beat too long. "Your skin's warm," she'd say, voice dropping low, like sunlight I used to chase as a kid. Elena, who'd hidden her own heart since college, kisses stolen in dorm shadows with a painter named Mia, felt the walls crack. She was gay, unapologetically, but in this gilded cage, vulnerability was a luxury she couldn't afford. One evening, as snow dusted the peaks outside, Sophia confided during a therapy session, Elena's improvised ones, with guided imagery of beaches she'd never seen. Father says we're broken, but I dream in colors sometimes. Reds like blood, blues like drowning. Her fingers twisted the sheets, and Elena knelt, eye level in the darkness they shared. You're not broken, Elena whispered, her breath mingling with Sophia's. You're surviving. But it was Isabella who watched them from her bed, her blind gaze unnervingly direct, as if she saw through flesh to the marrow. The truth began to unravel on Elena's 30th day. Routine blood work, drawn under the cover of night to avoid Victor's scrutiny. The lab results pinged her secure tablet. Anomalies in the sedative's metabolites, traces of something synthetic, not the prescribed cocktail. Elena's stomach nodded. She'd seen it before in underfunded clinics, drugs masking symptoms, not healing. But here, with unlimited resources, she confronted the on-call pharmacist, a jittery man named Hargrove who'd flown in from Boston. These levels, they're suppressing neural activity, not just calming. Her voice was steel, honed from years advocating for the overlooked. Hargrove's swallow was audible over the line. Doctor's orders, Ms. Vargas. Mr. Hawthorne's directive. For their protection. Protection from what? Elena paced her room, the lake a black mirror below. That night, Isabella woke screaming, thrashing against invisible flames. Elena held her down, murmuring Spanish lullabies her mother had sung, until the girl's sobs quieted to shudders. It was the crash, Isabella gasped, but not how they say. Sophia joined them on the floor, the three a tangle of limbs and shared breath. Tell her, Sophia urged, her hand on her sister's knee. Isabella's confession spilled like wine from a tipped glass. The plane hadn't malfunctioned. Their mother, Victoria, had discovered Victor's affair, a string of indiscretions with interns half his age. In a rage, she'd confronted him mid-flight, the argument escalating to a struggle at the controls. The crash was no accident. It was a family's implosion, flames licking the fuselage as Victoria shielded her daughters, her body taking the brunt. But the blindness? Victor's doctors had induced it post-rescue, optic nerve blockers disguised as painkillers to keep the girls compliant, tethered to his empire. He said we'd never see the ugliness of his world, Isabella whispered. But we feel it every day. Elena's world tilted. Rage boiled, hot and righteous, for these women reduced to pawns in their father's grief-twisted game. She pulled Isabella closer, their foreheads touching, and in that moment, the air thickened with unspoken want. Sophia slipped away quietly, giving them space, her own heart a quiet ache. From there, the romance bloomed in stolen fragments. Mornings in the greenhouse, where Elena described the orchid's petals in vivid detail, her voice a caress as Isabella's fingers traced her wrist. Afternoons by the lake, Sophia rowing blindly while Elena steadied the oars, their laughter a rebellion. But Elena's heart anchored to Isabella, the fire in her words, the way she'd lean in, lips parting as if to taste the air between them. One storm-lashed night, as thunder rattled the panes, Isabella found Elena in the library, poring over smuggled research on the blockers. You're risking everything, Isabella said, her hand finding Elena's in the dark. For you? Worth it. Elena's confession hung, raw and trembling. Then Isabella's mouth was on hers, soft and urgent, a kiss that tasted of salt and secrets. It was fire meeting gasoline, bodies pressing close on the Persian rug, hands exploring curves hidden by layers of doubt. Elena's fingers tangled in auburn waves, Isabella's nails grazing the small of her back, pulling her in until the world narrowed to gasps and whispers. I see you, Elena breathed against her neck. Even if you can't. Sophia walked in on them at dawn, the fire's embers glowing. Hurt flickered across her face, but it softened to understanding. "I knew," she said simply, joining them on the rug, her hand linking theirs. Not rivalry, but a deeper bond. The twins had always shared everything, and now Elena too. But Victor's shadow loomed. He returned unannounced, his limp sharper in the cold, eyes narrowing at the ease between the women. "Progress?" he demanded, scanning charts Elena had doctored to buy time. "Steady," she lied, chin lifted. That night, Hargrove confessed via encrypted call. The blockers were experimental, reversible with a counter-serum Victor hoarded, waiting for the girls to earn their sight by signing over their trusts. Elena's plan ignited. She contacted an old mentor at Columbia, a neuro-ophthalmologist who'd owed her a favor from a pro bono case. Together, they sourced the antidote through underground channels, Elena's Bronx connections proving mightier than Hawthorne's lawyers. Sophia, ever the strategist, forged documents delaying board meetings, buying days. The reversal began in secrecy, daily injections in the greenhouse, Elena's steady hands guiding needles into veins. Side effects ravaged, nausea, migraines that bent Isabella double. But Elena was there, holding basins, wiping brows, her love a anchor. "You're warriors," she'd say, kissing fevered temples. As vision flickered back, blurry shapes sharpening to colors, tension coiled. Victor discovered the tampering during a forced checkup, his roar echoing through halls. "Traitor," he bellowed at Elena, security goons at his heels. The chase spilled into the snow-swept grounds, Sophia dialing 911 from a hidden burner, Isabella's newly sighted eyes locking on Elena's fleeing form. In the chaos, Victor cornered them by the lake, gun drawn, a relic from his paranoid vault. "You think you can steal them? They're mine." His voice cracked, revealing the man beneath, a widower haunted by guilt, blinding his daughters to shield them from his sins, or perhaps to bind them closer. Elena stepped forward, unarmed, her voice ablade. "They're not property, Victor. They're women who deserve the light." Isabella, vision clearing to reveal the scene in stark relief, placed herself between them. "Papa, see us. Really see us." Sophia echoed, her hand in Elena's, a united front. The sirens wailed, state troopers bursting from the treeline. Victor crumpled, weapon clattering to ice, sobs racking his frame as the truth poured out. Confessions of the affair, the struggle, the desperate act of control. Arrested for assault, endangerment, the empire he'd built teetered. In the aftermath, as spring thawed the Adirondacks, the twins' sight fully restored, Elena stayed, not as nurse, but as partner. The three wove a new life, Isabella and Sophia reclaiming board seats, redirecting fortunes to blindness research and LGBTQ+ shelters, Elena at their side, her Bronx grit tempering their privilege. Love wasn't a triangle but a circle, nights tangled in silk sheets, mornings with coffee and shared dreams. They'd been blind, yes, but to chains, not to each other. And in Elena's eyes, they'd always seen the truth, that love, fierce and unyielding, could shatter any darkness. The hospital discharge papers crinkled under Elena's fingers as she wheeled Isabella and Sophia out of the city clinic, where the final checks had been done. Manhattan's horns blared a chaotic symphony, but to Elena, it was freedom's anthem. 3 months since Victor's arrest, and the charges had multiplied. Manslaughter in their mother's death, medical fraud, even embezzlement from the girls' trusts. The tabloids feasted. Hawthorne heirloom of horror exposed. But in the back of the black SUV, with Sophia's head on Isabella's shoulder and Elena's hand intertwined with both, the headlines faded to irrelevance. They'd chosen a brownstone in Brooklyn, far from the compound's ghosts. Elena's old neighborhood bordered it, a bridge between worlds. The first night, unpacking boxes amid pizza boxes and laughter, Isabella paused at a window overlooking the stoop. "I can see the stars," she marveled, her hazel eyes, mirrors of Elena's own, wide with wonder. No, not stars. City lights twinkling like distant promises. Sophia, ever the poet, traced the skyline. And you, Elena, every line of you. Their kiss that night was gentle, exploratory, Sophia's lips tentative at first, then blooming with the confidence of sight regained. Elena melted between them, her body a canvas for their rediscovery, fingers mapping collarbones, breaths sinking in the dim lamplight. It wasn't possession, it was reclamation, 3 hearts beating in defiant rhythm. But scars lingered. Victor's trial loomed in Albany, a media circus Elena shielded them from with burner apps and blind trusts. Ironic, given their past. She'd testify, her voice steady as she recounted the blockers, the chase, the gun on the ice. He didn't just blind their eyes, she'd say in rehearsals with the prosecutor, he blinded their futures. Isabella threw herself into advocacy, her first press conference ablaze. My sister and I were pawns in a game of grief. But love, real, messy love, showed us the board. Flanked by Sophia and Elena, her hand squeezing Elena's under the podium, the room erupted. Offers flooded. TED Talks, book deals, foundations. Sophia, quieter, channeled it into art, paintings of fractured light, exhibited in Soho galleries where Elena stood guard, her nurse's vigilance, now a lover's watch. Yet doubt crept in Elena's quiet hours. At 28, she built walls around her queerness, coming out only to close friends after Mia's ghosting left her adrift. Now, loving 2 women, twins, no less, in a world that devoured polyamory with side eyes, felt like juggling grenades. One evening, as rain pattered the brownstone's roof, she confessed over wine on the fire escape. Am I enough? For both of you in this? Us. Isabella's laugh was soft, pulling her close. You're the spark, Elena. We were embers before you. Sophia nodded, her fingers lacing Elena's. And together? We're a blaze no one can extinguish. The trial opened under gray September skies, the courthouse a stone behemoth swallowing Victor whole. Elena took the stand first, her scrubs swapped for a tailored blazer, voice unwavering as she detailed the anomalies, the reversals, the night by the lake. Victor, shackled and shrunken, met her gaze, not with rage, but hollow defeat. His testimony cracked the facade. I thought blindness would protect them from me, from the monster I became after Victoria. Tears carved paths down his lined face, but the jury's eyes hardened at the evidence. Falsified logs, payoffs to doctors. Isabella and Sophia testified together, hands clasped, voices weaving a tapestry of stolen years. We forgive you, Isabella said at the close, but we choose light. The courtroom hushed, then erupted as Victor was led away, sentenced to 20 years, his empire dismantled by the girl's decrees, assets funneled to victims' funds, not heirs. Freedom tasted bittersweet. Back in Brooklyn, they celebrated with Elena's family, a boisterous dinner where Abuela Vargas enveloped the twins in hugs, declaring them Ms. Hijas Ora. Laughter flowed like sangria, stories of Elena's tomboy youth clashing with Hawthorne cotillions. That night, in their king-sized bed, love unfolded languidly. Isabella's mouth on Elena's thigh, Sophia's whispers in her ear, bodies a symphony of sighs and arches. Elena came undone, tears mingling with sweat, whispering, I see you too. Fall deepened, leaves carpeting Prospect Park where they walked arm in arm, drawing stares that once would have stung but now glanced off like rain. Elena resumed part-time shifts at Bellevue, her expertise in reversal therapies making her a quiet legend. Isabella launched the Hawthorne Vision Fund, grants for queer youth in the arts. Sophia's campuses sold for millions, proceeds to immigrant health clinics, a nod to Elena's roots. But echoes persisted. Anonymous letters arrived, Victor's loyalists decrying the unnatural trio, paparazzi lurking at cafes. One night, a brick through the brownstone window shattered glass and complacency. Elena barricaded the door, heart pounding, as police lights flashed. "We're not hiding," Isabella declared, sweeping shards, her eyes fierce. Sophia painted the fracture into art, a triptych of broken light reforming. Elena, inspired, proposed over breakfast. "Let's go public. Our way." The interview aired on NPR, their voices intertwined. Tales of blindness, love, redemption. Listeners flooded lines with stories, hidden loves, family betrayals, reminding them their pain was a bridge, not a burden. Winter blanketed the city in hush. They escaped to the Adirondacks, not the compound, sold off, but a cozy cabin by the lake. Snow fell soft as they skied, Elena teaching the twins cross-country trails, falls dissolving into kisses amid drifts. Evenings by the fire, Elena read poetry. Audre Lorde, her words a balm. "I am deliberate and afraid of nothing." Isabella traced Elena's tattoos, a rainbow wristband from Pride 15, while Sophia sketched their profiles, capturing the curve of Elena's smile. One midnight, under aurora-veiled skies, they exchanged rings, simple gold bands engraved with vimos, Spanish for "we see." No ceremony, just vows whispered to the stars, to cherish the seen and unseen, to fight for light in darkness. Elena's kiss sealed it, first Isabella's lips, then Sophia's, a promise etched in frost. Spring brought renewal. Elena discovered she was pregnant, not biologically, but through a surrogate friend from the clinic, a gift they discussed in hushed winter tones. The news hit like dawn. Ultrasounds revealing a girl, to be named Lucia after Elena's mother. Isabella and Sophia swelled with it, hands on Elena's flat belly during checkups, dreaming of tiny hands grasping fingers. The birth came in June, Brooklyn hospital alive with beeps and joy. Lucia's cry pierced the room, her eyes, dark like Elena's, blinking at the world. Victor, from his cell, sent a letter. "Raise her to see what I couldn't. With love, despite all." Forgiveness wasn't absolution, but a step. Years folded forward. Lucia toddled through the brownstone, her laughter a echo of Isabella's, her curiosity Sophia's. Elena balanced motherhood with lectures at NYU, teaching ethics and care. The twins' foundation thrived, a beacon for the marginalized. Love evolved, date nights in hidden jazz clubs, family hikes where Lucia pointed at birds, declaring, "Mommy sees." They'd been told blindness was forever, but Elena had seen the truth, not in eyes, but souls. And in that seeing, they'd built a legacy, not of billions, but of boundless heart. Lucia's first word was amor, mumbled over Cheerios one sun-drenched morning, her chubby fingers pointing at the three women tangled on the kitchen floor, play wrestling after a tickle fight gone wild. Elena's heart swelled, a tide of gratitude crashing against the shores of her doubts. At 32 now, with laugh lines etching her eyes and a silver streak in her curls from stress-fueled insomnias, she marveled at this life, once a Bronx shift worker dodging bill collectors, now a matriarch in a tapestry of chosen family. The brownstone had expanded, a garden bloomed in the backyard, Sophia's sculptures dotting the patio like frozen dances. Isabella's office overlooked it, walls lined with awards, human rights campaign icons, glad honors, for their work uplifting queer voices silenced by wealth's blind spots. Elena coordinated the medical arm, pro bono reversals for those Victor's fraud had tainted, her hands still steady with syringes, now laced with rings. But fame's underbelly gnawed. Protests erupted outside fundraisers, fringe groups chanting family values with bullhorns, their venom aimed at the deviant trio corrupting innocence. Lucia, at 3, asked why strangers yelled at the park, her small face furrowed. Elena knelt, wiping ice cream from her chin. "Some people forget love looks different, Mija. But we remember." Sophia channeled the rage into fury, canvases slashed with red, exhibited as visible wounds in Chelsea, selling out to collectors who wept at openings. Isabella fought legally, lobbying Albany for polyamory recognition, her speeches firebrands that lit op-eds ablaze. Elena grounded them, cooking arepas late nights, her voice a lullaby against the storm. A call came in autumn, leaves turning the East River crimson. Victor, paroled early for good behavior, sought contact, supervised visits, a chance to meet his granddaughter. The letter arrived crisp, postmarked from a halfway house in Syracuse. I've changed. Therapy, reflection. Let me make amends. Isabella crumpled it first, tears hot. He blinded us, Elena. How do we let light in? Sophia paced, her artist's hands twisting. Maybe. For Lucia. To break the cycle. Elena mediated, her nurse's empathy warring with protector instinct. They agreed to neutral ground, a park in the neutral zone of upstate, leaves crunching underfoot as Victor approached, older, frilier, his limp a shuffle. Lucia hid behind Elena's legs, peeking at the abuelo with wide eyes. He knelt awkwardly, offering a carved wooden bird, his hobby in prison, letters had said. For you, little one. It flies free. Lucia took it, inspecting, then toddled to Sophia for approval. Victor's gaze lifted to them, lingering on intertwined hands. I was blind too. To love, to loss. Forgive me. Isabella's voice cracked. Not yet. But we're trying. The visit stretched, stilted stories of prison gardens, Victor's volunteer work with at-risk youth. Elena watched, noting the tremor in his hands, not fear, but genuine remorse. As dusk fell, he rose. Thank you for seeing me, after all. Healing wasn't linear. Nightmares returned, Isabella bolting upright, gasping of flames, Sophia sketching shadows that bled into dawn. Elena held them, her body a bulwark, making love with deliberate tenderness, slow circles on inner thighs, whispers of affirmation until release washed away ghosts. Lucia's 4th birthday brought levity, a backyard bash with abuela's tamales, cousins from the Bronx dancing salsa under string lights. Elena's brother, Marco, hoisted Lucia on shoulders, declaring her the boss. As cake smeared faces, Isabella pulled Elena aside, eyes shining. Marry us? Officially, somewhere it counts. The wedding was intimate, a Vermont courthouse where poly-unions whispered green lights. Under maple canopies aflame with fall, they vowed anew. Elena's, I see your strengths, your storms, met with Isabella's, you lit our world, and Sophia's, in your eyes, we're whole. Rings exchanged, a kiss shared among 3, sealing under a justice's nod. Lucia scattered petals, giggling, amour forever. Honeymoon in Provincetown, the queer haven's waves crashing like applause. They rented a cliffside cottage, days hiking dunes, nights on wraparound porches with wine and stars. Love was playful here, Isabella's teasing nips along Elena's collar, Sophia's fingers painting patterns on bare backs, climaxes crashing in harmony. Elena, sated and sun-kissed, traced their faces. This is the truth I saw. Back home, challenges mounted. A boardroom coup at the foundation, old Hawthorne allies sniffing weakness in the scandalous leadership. Isabella battled in suits sharp as her wit, Elena testifying on ethics, Sophia's art auction funding the defense. Victory came narrow, but it forged them tighter, a reminder that power yielded to passion. Winter holidays blended traditions. Hanukkah candles from Sophia's lapsed Jewish roots, Noche Buena feasts, a Christmas tree strung with Lucia's ornaments. Victor joined virtually, his face pixelated but present, reading, "'Twas the night before Christmas, with a grandfather's warmth." Lucia beamed, clutching her wooden bird. Spring unearthed buried pain. A news clip resurfaced the crash footage, grainy, horrifying, triggering Sophia's collapse. Panic attacks gripped, her visions blurring to black. Elena revived her protocols, breathing exercises by the garden, meds recalibrated. You're safe, she'd murmur, holding Sophia as tremors faded, Isabella joining to form a cradle. Through it, their bond deepened. Date nights rotated, Isabella and Elena at underground poetry slams, Sophia and Elena sketching in Central Park, all three at drag brunches where Lucia clapped for glittered queens. Elena's queerness, once shadowed, now shone. Panels on polyamory and nursing, her story in Out magazine, the nurse who healed with heart. Lucia's questions grew. Why three mommies? Elena explained with stories of gardens, roots intertwined for strength. At 5, Lucia declared herself rainbow like you, drawing families in crayons with extra hands holding. Summer heatwave brought crisis. Victor's health failed. Cancer, stage 4, the call from his warden Stark. Hospice in Syracuse, he requested the girls. Elena drove, Lucia in tow, the Adirondack peaks mocking with beauty. Victor's room smelled of antiseptic and regret, his frame skeletal. Daughters, he rasped, eyes once steel soft. I see now. Your love. It's the empire I should have built. Isabella forgave first, tears falling. We love you, Papa. Go in peace. Sophia nodded, hand in Elena's. Lucia placed the wooden bird on his tray. Fly free, abuelo. He passed at dawn, the lake outside a silver sheen. The funeral was private, ashes scattered where the crash had scarred the earth, a closure Elena officiated, words weaving grief to grace. In the quiet after, they thrived. Isabella's book, Blinded by Legacy, topped bestsellers. Sophia's mural in MoMA celebrated queer resilience. Elena's clinic expanded, reversing fates beyond sight. Lucia started kindergarten, backpack slung, waving from the stoop. They defied the forever, turning blindness to vision, not just eyes, but a world's hidden colors. And in each other's arms, the truth endured. Love, unblinking, eternal. Lucia's kindergarten finger paintings cluttered the fridge, vibrant smudges of family rainbows that Elena tacked up with pride, each one a testament to the chaos they'd tamed. At 35, Elena's body bore the marks of motherhood, stretch marks like lightning on her abdomen, a C-section scar from Lucia's breezy arrival, but she wore them like badges, running half marathons through Brooklyn bridges, her stride unyielding. The brownstone pulsed with life now, playdates echoing with shrieks, Sophia's studio spilling clay onto floors, Isabella's calls from D.C. lobbying for healthcare reform. The foundation had ballooned, chapters in L.A. and Austin, Elena jetting for trainings, her Latina fire igniting teams on equity and care. But distance tugged, nights alone in hotel rooms, video calls with Isabella's sultry miss you me lose, and Sophia's sketched portraits faxed as love notes. Reconnection was ritual. Airport reunions with fierce hugs, dinners where hands wandered under tables, bedrooms reclaiming lost time with urgent, whispered devotions. A new shadow fell with Lucia's school play, her role as a tree in The Giving Tree, innocent until bullies whispered weird family in the wings. Elena overheard, heart clenching as she scooped Lucia post-curtain, tears streaking face paint. They're just jealous, Smija. Our tree has 3 trunks stronger. Isabella channeled it into policy, co-authoring bills for anti-bullying in queer-inclusive curricula. Sophia created workshops, art therapy for kids like Lucia, her gentle hands guiding crayons through pain. Elena testified at hearings, her voice a bridge. Our daughter sees love in all its forms. Don't blind her to that. Success bred envy. A rival foundation, backed by Victor's old cronies, leaked smears, fabricated affairs, fun mismanagement. Paparazzi swarmed the brownstone, flashes blinding as old nightmares. Elena shielded Lucia with blindfolds of play, but inside, fury simmered. We've fought worse, she told the wives one stormy night, rain lashing windows like accusations. Their counterstrike was elegant, a gala at the Met, polyamory front and center, donors flocking to authenticity. Isabella's speech sliced. They call us broken? We rebuilt from ashes. Sophia unveiled a sculpture, 3 intertwined figures emerging from shadow, selling for record sums. Elena emceed, her toast to unseen truths, drawing cheers, hands clasped in unity. Intimacy deepened in the glow. Post-gala, back home, they shed gowns in the foyer, bodies colliding in a heap of silk and skin. Isabella's teeth grazed Elena's earlobe, Sophia's tongue tracing hip bones, a symphony building to crescendos that echoed off walls. Elena arched, lost in them, murmuring, "My anchors." Lucia's 6th birthday-themed superheroes, capes fluttering in the garden. Abuela gifted a locket with mini photos of the three, Lucia's eyes sparkling. But joy cracked when a classmate's parent confronted Elena at pickup. "Your lifestyle confuses kids." Elena's response was ice. "My lifestyle teaches love. What's yours?" The incident rippled. School counseling sessions where Lucia drew happy homes with extra hearts. Elena advocated, securing allied training, her persistence a legacy of Bronx battles. Nights, she'd hold Lucia, singing, "You are my sunshine," until sleep claimed her, then slipped to bed where Isabella and Sophia waited, their touches healing fractures. Summer escape to Fire Island, the queer enclave's dunes a playground. Lucia built sandcastles with neighborhood kids, all colors and configurations, while the women lounged, hands linked under umbrellas. Evenings at beach bonfires, stories swapped with strangers, tales of coming out, losses, triumphs, reminding Elena of shared threads. A storm hit midweek, waves roaring like beasts. Power out, they huddled by candlelight, Lucia between them, ghost stories turning to giggles. In the dark, Elena felt Isabella's breath quicken, Sophia's leg pressing close. Later, Lucia asleep, they made love on the porch swing, rain a curtain, bodies slick and silent, peaks muffled in shoulders. "Stormproof," Sophia whispered after, her head on Elena's chest. Fall brought expansion, Elena pregnant again, this time carrying via IVF, a boy due in winter. Hormones raged, cravings for pupusas at 3 a.m., but Isabella's massages and Sophia's herbal teas steadied her. Ultrasounds revealed Matteo, his heartbeat a drum. Lucia kissed Elena's belly, declaring, "Brother's superhero." Victor's estate settled, a windfall they donated, scholarships for blind, queer youth, clinics in underserved barrios. A letter from his former cellmate arrived. "He spoke of you to the end. Proud." Closure bittersweet. Holiday lights twinkled as snow fell. Noche buena with extended family, Marco's wife pregnant too, toasts to growing legacies. Christmas morning, Lucia unwrapped a dollhouse with 3 mommies squealing. Victor's ghost lingered in toasts, but gently now. Matteo's birth was a blizzard, hospital winds howling as he emerged, cries cutting the gale. Dark curls like Elena's, eyes flickering open to light. Sophia cut the cord, tears streaming. Isabella swaddled him, whispering welcomes. Lucia peered, awed. Tiny amour. Postpartum haze enveloped, Elena's body aching but soul full. Nights blurred, feedings, colics, but love divided labor. Isabella's lullabies, Sophia's mobiles of painted stars. Elena watched them, her partners cradling the babe, heart overflowing. Spring bloomed with Matteo's baptism, a secular affair in the garden, waters from the lake symbolizing renewal. Friends gathered, queer elders blessing the path. Lucia led vows, her voice piping, "We see each other always." Challenges persisted. Media frenzy over the Hawthorne-Polly family peaked with a documentary pitch. Raw, their story unfiltered. They agreed, filming sessions raw. Crash recreations, kiss montages, Lucia's interviews on three-way love. Release night, premiering at Tribeca, standing ovations drowned cheers. Summer camps for Lucia, art and adventure, while Elena and the wives retreated to the cabin. Matteo in a carrier, they hiked, love in every vista. One evening, by firelight, Isabella proposed expansions, adoption dreams, global chapters. Sophia sketched futures, Elena grounded. One step, mi vidas. As leaves turned again, Elena reflected, from a nurse glimpsing truth to architect of lives. Blindness had been illusion, their sight, eternal. In Matteo's coups, Lucia's hugs, the wives' gazes, the world sharpened, vibrant, unyielding. Matteo's first steps wobbled across the brownstone's hardwood, a triumphant lurch from coffee table to Elena's waiting arms, her laughter bubbling as he collapsed into her legs, gummy grin wide. At 37, Elena's energy was a wellspring, morning jogs pushing the double stroller through Fort Greene, evenings chasing toddlers while stealing kisses from Isabella and Sophia amid the fray. The house thrummed, Lucia's piano lessons clashing with Matteo's babbles, Sophia's clay wheels humming, Isabella's laptop pinging with virtual board meetings. The documentary, Unblind, swept festivals, Sundance cheers, Emmy nods, thrusting them into spotlights they'd once shunned. Elena fielded invites, TEDx on empathy in poly families, panels with Audre Lorde scholars dissecting their revolutionary intimacy. But stardom's glare scorched. Online trolls spewed vitriol, doxing attempts forcing security upgrades. We're not icons, Elena vented one night, pacing the kitchen as rain drummed. We're just us. Isabella pulled her down, lips brushing temple. And that's our power. Sophia nodded, handing over chamomile. Their lovemaking that night was fierce, a reclaiming, Elena's back against cool tiles, Isabella's mouth devouring, Sophia's fingers insistent, release a roar against the storm. Lucia's school evolved, a progressive charter embracing their story. She thrived, captaining debate club on family diversity. But whispers lingered, playground taunts evolving to crushes, her first on a classmate named Riley, innocent hand-holding that Elena navigated with abuela wisdom. Heart first, always honest. Sophia's solo show in Berlin called, a month away, her sculptures on queer visibility. Elena and Isabella saw her off at JFK, kisses lingering in the terminal. Create wildly, Elena murmured. Letters arrived weekly, sketches of Berlin nights, longing scrawled in margins. Back home, Elena and Isabella deepened, lazy Sundays with Matteo on hips, cooking paella while stealing tastes from fingers, nights where bodies synced in slow, deep rhythms, Isabella's curves under Elena's palms a familiar map. Sophia's return was fireworks, airport sprint hug, then home to unpack with wine and stories. The three tangled that evening, Sophia's tales fueling fantasies, fingers echoing Berlin's pulse, mouths mapping home's comforts. Missed this harmony, Sophia sighed post-climax, nestled between. Fall harvest brought family pilgrimage to the Adirondacks, the old compound raised for Memorial Park, plaques for Victoria, paths for healing walks. Lucia and Matteo chased fireflies, Victor's wooden bird now a garden totem. Around the campfire, Isabella shared board expansions, centers in Mexico City, honoring Elena's heritage. Our roots go global. Winter gripped with a scare, Matteo spiking fever, bronchiolitis landing him in PICU. Elena's world narrowed to beeps and IVs, her nurse mode autopilot while fear gnawed. Isabella canceled flights, Sophia sketched vigil portraits. Through nights of humidifiers and prayers, they held, hands linked over rails, whispers of strength. Discharge brought dawn, Matteo giggling at bubbles, Elena's tears salt on his curls. Spring renewal, Elena's book deal, Seeing Beyond, a nurse's guide to hidden hurts, memoir laced with recipes and reversal protocols. Writing sessions in the garden, Lucia editing with crayons, Matteo napping in laps. Publishers raved, tours loomed, but Elena negotiated family clauses, stops with kid-friendly layovers. Isabella's political push peaked, testifying before Congress on poly rights, her poise commanding C-SPAN. Backlash roared, death threats, Senate whispers, but support surged, allies in blue states drafting bills. Elena flew to D.C., surprising with hotel roses, their night a blur of room service and reunions, bodies celebrating victories in tangled sheets. Summer idyll in Provincetown Redux, the cottage, now tradition. Kids built forts on beaches, Elena teaching them to body surf waves. Evenings, babysitter in tow, the women danced at tea dances, sweaty, joyous, hands roaming in crowds that cheered their fame. One moonlit beach walk, Sophia confessed. Another baby? For us. IVF talks reignited, dreams of a full house. Lucia's 8th birthday. Around the world, passports stamped with crafts from fun chapters. A surprise guest, Riley's family, normalizing crushes. Elena watched Lucia blush, heart full, later confiding over cake. Love's a journey, not a race. Challenges crested with a lawsuit, rival foundations suing for defamation over the doc. Courtrooms echoed old trials, Elena prepping depositions late, stress etching lines. But evidence mounted. Forged docs exposed, case crumbling. Victory party at home, toasts with sangria, love spilling into dawn. Isabella's dominance playful, Sophia's submission yielding. Elena the conduit, peaks echoing laughter. Fall foliage framed a milestone. Their 10th anniversary, since the kiss on the rug. Vermont cabin, kids with abuela, just the three. Days hiking peaks they'd once navigated blind. Nights by fire with poetry readings. Lord to Neruda. Lovemaking spanned hours. Slow builds on bearskin rugs. Urgent against windows fogged with breath. Afterglows in whispered futures. Winter holidays amplified. Marco's twins born. Family swelling. Noche Buena tables groaned. Stories overlapping in Spanglish. Victor's memorial tree lit with ornaments. Lucia hanging one. Seeing Grandpa. Mateo's 2nd birthday. Trucks and trains. His vroom a roar. But a tantrum unearthed Elena's fatigue. Burnout creeping. Shifts cut for self-care. Therapy sessions, mandated by Isabella's gentle insistence, peeled layers. You carried us all. Let us carry you. Sessions with a queer therapist, vulnerability a release. Spring book launch, Union Square buzzing, Elena signing amid hugs. Lucia read excerpts, voice steady. Mateo helped with stamps. Reviews poured praise. A beacon for the unseen. Summer campouts in the Catskills, tents pitched under stars. Ghost stories around fires, but real tales too, crash whispers for older years, lessons in resilience. Elena held them close, her story's arc complete, yet unfolding. As leaves whispered change, Elena penned the epilogue, from blind verdict to visionary life, love the lens sharpening all. In their circle, truth wasn't hidden, it blazed. Lucia's debate triumph echoed through the auditorium, her 10-year-old voice slicing arguments on climate equity, the crowd's applause a thunder Elena felt in her chest. At 39, Elena's reflection showed a woman tempered by fire, curls threaded silver, eyes crinkled with wisdom, body strong from yoga flows that wove breath with balance. The brownstone, now a hive, buzzed with after-school clubs. Lucia's mock UN, Mateo's tumbling class, Sophia's adult pottery nights drawing neighborhood queers. The Foundation's global push landed. Mexico City Center opening, Elena cutting ribbons amid mariachi and tears, her speech in Spanglish bridging worlds. Aquí vimos la verdad. We see the truth in every face. Back home, jet lag melted in baths drawn by Isabella, scented oils leading to languid touches, Sophia joining with chilled wine, bodies rediscovering in steam-veiled mirrors. But fractures showed. Isabella's congressional bid announced, New York's 14th, a progressive firebrand against machine politics. Campaign trail loomed, fundraisers in Hamptons, town halls in Queens. Elena managed home front, her book tour overlapping, a juggle of flights and FaceTimes. We'll make it work, Isabella promised at send-offs, kisses fierce. Sophia's Berlin residency extended, 6 months, a mural for the wall's remnants. Go, Elena urged, masking ache. Letters evolved to videos, Sophia's paint-smeared grins, tales of techno clubs where poly flags flew. Home. Elena and Isabella leaned in, nights with kids asleep, her straddling Isabella on the couch, rhythms urgent, whispers of hurry back for Sophia. Reunion at JFK was cinematic, Sophia emerging, arms laden with canvases, the three colliding in a heap of limbs and laughter. Dinner at their favorite taqueria turned intimate, homeward bound with hands linked. Bedroom awaited, Sophia's gifts unwrapped, silk scarves binding wrists playfully, sensations heightened, Elena's cries muffled in pillows as peaks cascaded. Lucia's tween shift hit, crushes deepening, Riley now a girlfriend, handholds at movies. Elena navigated the talk, with books and candor. Love's spectrum, like us. School dances loomed, chaperoned by the trio, Elena's eyes misty as Lucia swayed, free. Mateo's preschool art, finger-painted mommies earning parent-teacher praise, but a curriculum flap, opt-out forms for family units. Elena rallied PDAs, her advocacy sparking district policy shifts. No child blind to diversity, her op-ed thundered. Fall elections gripped, Isabella's campaign a whirlwind, Elena stumping in the Bronx, her roots rallying crowds. Debates crackled, opponents slinging radical family barbs. Isabella parried with grace. My family taught me strength, 2 wives, 2 kids, 1 fight for all. Polls surged. Winter primaries, victory party in a warehouse, balloons popping like gunfire, hugs from AOC lookalikes. But stress peaked, Isabella's ulcer flaring, Elena nursing through nights, Sophia's soup's a bomb. Intimacy paused, then roared back, a weekend getaway to the cabin, kids with Marco, the 3 thawing in hot tubs, bodies reconnecting in slow, healing waves. Spring blooms coincided with Sophia's mural unveil, Berlin footage streaming live, a triptych of emerging figures dedicated to my lights. Tears flowed at watch parties, Elena's arm around her. Summer heat-baked campaigns, Isabella clinched nomination, general election a nail-biter. Elena balanced tours, her book in Spanish now, launches in LA with queer Latine crowds. Mateo tagged along, charming with dances. A scare mid-season, anonymous threats, protect traditional values, scrawled on campaign signs. Secret Service details shadowed, Elena's home fortified. Lucia's anxiety spiked, therapy sessions doubling. We're safe, Elena soothed, but vigilance weighed. Election night, November chill biting, the brownstone a war room, pizza boxes, screens flickering results. Cheers erupted as projections locked. Congresswoman Isabella Hawthorne, margin slim but sure. Hugs crushed, kisses salt-sweet, Mateo waving a mama wins sign. Swearing in January, D.C. snow blanketing the Capitol. Elena and kids in gallery, hearts pounding as Isabella vowed, hand on Victoria's old Bible. Post-ceremony brunch, toasts to first poly rep, but Elena saw the exhaustion in her wife's eyes. Spring settled Isabella in D.C., a row house rental for weekends, Elena commuting with kids. Sophia's pottery studio boomed, classes on resilient forms. Elena's clinic consulted remotely, her expertise in demand. Summer recess brought family fusion, D.C. tours for Lucia and Mateo, monuments as backdrops for picnics. One night, Lincoln Memorial steps, Isabella pulled them close. This, us, is my why. Lovemaking in the row house, urgent against history-haunted walls, bodies affirming amid chaos. Fall session grind, bills on healthcare, poly protections. Isabella's star rose, but filibusters drained. Elena's visits were lifelines, nights stealing into offices for quick embraces, weekends reclaiming home. Challenges crested with a leak, old crash files, twisted to smear Isabella as crash beneficiary. Media frenzy. Elena shielding kids. Sophia's art raging in response. A series, distorted visions. Truth prevailed. Files debunked. Sympathy votes pouring. Winter holidays in D.C., tree trimming with congressional kids. Victor's memory, a quiet toast. Lucia's Hanukkah play. Mateo's dreidel spins, blended joys. As snow melted to spring, Elena proposed balance. Sabbatical from clinic, focus on family. Isabella's nod, relief evident. Their 15th kiss-iversary at the lake cabin. Kids with abuela, the three renewing rings in a private rite. Vows evolved. Lovemaking under stars, tender and timeless. From nurse's glimpse to national stage, Elena's arc wove through love's unblind, fierce, familial, forever. Isabella's first bill passed on a sweltering June day, healthcare equity threading the needle through divided halls, Elena watching from C-SPAN in the brownstone, fists pumping as the gavel fell. At 41, Elena's life was a mosaic, silver-streaked curls framing faces weathered by wisdom, her frame honed by Peloton sessions squeezed between carpools and calls. The brownstone, expanded with a sunroom studio, breathed creativity. Lucia's teen posters of Malala, Mateo's Lego empire sprawling, Sophia's kiln firing dreams. Congressional life pulled Isabella eastward, but tech bridged. Holographic family dinners, Elena's face projected over DC plates. Weekends flipped, Isabella Amtrak bound, tumbling into Brooklyn arms, kids mobbing with tales. Intimacy adapted. Hurried mornings in the row house, Elena's fingers quick under desks, or languid Brooklyn Sundays, bodies lazy in sheets, peaks drawn out like symphonies. Lucia's teen bloom, braces glinting in debates. Riley evolved to prom dates, her coming-out essay winning nationals. You showed me courage, she told Elena over ice cream, hug fierce. Mateo, 5, idolized Mama Congress, mimicking speeches with toy gavels. Sophia's Guggenheim Fellowship, a year in residency, split between Brooklyn and Santa Fe. Adventure calls, she said, eyes sparkling. Elena and Isabella saw her off with a send-off feast, tears mingling with toasts. Visits dotted. Desert hikes, clay hands dirty, nights in adobe casitas where love reignited, Sophia's mouth reverent on Elena's scars, Isabella's commands playful, harmonies echoing canyons. Home, Elena anchored. Clinic expansions to telehealth for rural queers, her book sequel brewing. A grant for poly family studies, interviews weaving their story with others, validating, vulnerable. Fall midterms loomed, Isabella campaigning cross-state, Elena stumping in hard hats. A rally in Buffalo turned tense, protesters shoving, slurs flying. Elena shielded, voice booming. Hate blinds, love sees clear. Police dispersed, but bruises lingered, literal on arms, figurative in resolve. Winter recess healed. Adirondack cabin, snowshoeing with kids, Victor's park visited with wreaths. Around fires, stories deepened, crash details for teens, lessons in legacy. Lucia journaled, blind no more. Spring brought Sophia's return. Santa Fe sculptures shipped, a homecoming exhibit in Soho. Opening night glittered. Elena in a rare dress, arm linked with both wives. Post-party, loft afterglow. Bodies on gallery floors, art smears on skin, climaxes quiet amid echoes. Summer scandals rocked D.C. Ethics probes, but Isabella's transparency shone, disclosures full, allies rallying. Elena testified, her calm dismantling accusations. Victory cemented her as rising star. Lucia's 14th, Global Gala, virtual links to Mexico Center kids. Riley attended, families blending. Mateo's kindergarten plunge, backpack wobbles, Elena's kiss lingering. Challenges surged with a health dip, Elena's burnout flaring to hypertension, doc's orders for rest. Isabella canceled votes. Sophia's massages daily. Therapy collective now. The three unpacking loads. We carry together. Fall foliage framed Isabella's re-election bid. Stronger platform. Elena co-chaired finance. Bronx grit fundraising millions. Debates dazzled. Polly pride woven in. Winter holidays grand. DC for New Year's. Ball drop with kids on shoulders. Victor's old lawyer gifted archives. Letters of change. Closure sealed. Mateo's 6th. Dinosaur digs in the garden. Roars real. Lucia's first heartbreak. Riley's family relocating. Elena holding through sobs. Hearts mend. Stronger. Spring renewal. Elena's sequel launch. Unseen threads. Climbing charts. Tours with family cameos. Mateo reading to crowds. Summer escapes to Fire Island. Dunes forts for kids. Adult beach volleyball ending in chases to waves. Bonfires with locals. Stories of survival. Elena's nurse yarns captivating. Fall election eve. Nerves electric. Brownstone vigil. Dawn victory. Re-elected. Margin wide. Celebrations spilled to streets. Kisses under confetti. Their 20th Truth Day. The reversal's mark. Cabin ritual. Lake swims. Vows refreshed. Kids kayaking. The three on docks. Hands submerged. Lovemaking in lofts. Timeless. As autumn waned, Elena eyed futures. Congressional run? No. Foundation CEO. Global helm. Sophia's museum retrospective. Isabella's committee chair. From a gay nurse's glimpse to a legacy of light. Love's truth. Eternally cited.